Hey guys, Tom here again from synthhacker.com and welcome back to another tutorial for Native Instruments Massive. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at recreating the lead sound from Daft Punk's track Derezzed. So a really interesting sound. It actually took me a while to kind of figure it out, and I know it's not exactly the same because obviously I have no idea what Daft Punk actually used to create the lead, but I think the basic principles are here, and hopefully you can kind of take this lead sound away and do something with it. It's just a really cool style synth that I think could be used for a lot of modern genres really as well, and there's a lot of different directions you could kind of take this. So we're going to go ahead and initialize the patch here. So we've got a completely blank patch. We are going to be creating it completely from scratch. Just before we get started, guys, as always, these videos are sponsored by my website, which is called synthhacker.com. Definitely go ahead and check that out if you haven't done already, or click the link in the description down below. If you want to get your hands on some presets, all handcrafted by me for Native Instruments Massive. Currently there's a mega pack which I'm selling on there, which contains all the presets that I've ever made for Massive, which contains over 500 presets for you to use across a wide variety of genres as well. So definitely go ahead and check that out if you get the chance. Like I said, either go synthhacker.com or click the link in the description below. But what we're going to be doing is just creating the sound completely from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do is just start off in the voicing tab down here, and we're just going to change the unison to 2 so that our synth, if I can actually get it to stay, there we go. So this is just a really cool way just to thicken up the sound a little bit. What we're going to do is also make the sound monophonic, because we're only going to be playing one note at a time, and just so that we get a smoother transition between notes, we're going to switch legato mode on as well. To thicken the sound up with these voices, we're going to make sure that we use the unison spread control, this pitch cutoff. And this is just going to detune the two different voices from one another, just by moving this slightly to the right, this slider here. The next thing we're going to do is dive into the oscillator section. This is actually a 3 oscillator sound. We're not going to be using the modulation oscillator, or I should say 4 oscillator sound really, because we are going to be using the noise oscillator as well. Oscillator 1 we're going to leave at the default pitch, but we are going to, and also, sorry, the default wavetable position. We're just going to have this all the way to the right. We're going to use a saw wave in oscillator 1, so just I don't know what it is, but I prefer the sound of the saw 2. I think it's like the upper harmonic sound a little bit brighter. I'm not really sure what it is. You know, I might just be going crazy, but it is just a really simple sound anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. We're going to make sure that oscillator 1's being routed through filter 1. We're going to bring down the amplitude just a little bit and keep intensity about full. Oscillator 2, again, saw 2 waveform, but we're actually going to pitch this up 12 semitones, which is an octave, and then just so we get that really nice kind of phasing between the two oscillators, we're going to detune oscillator 2 a little bit, just by like a few semitones, just so it's just a little bit detuned. Just to add a little bit more interest to the sound really, and bring the amplitude of this down a little bit. The next thing we're going to do in oscillator 3, we're just going to pitch this down 12 semitones, and we're going to use a square wave. This is just to add the, there is like a little bit of low end to the sound. I mean, it's EQ'd off because it's not a bass sound, but it just adds some kind of like lower harmonics which sound really cool. Keep intensity at full, but we're going to bring the amplitude of this down to about halfway, and again just make sure all these oscillators are all being routed through filter 1. So far we just have this basic sound. 1 second, let me just turn the glide down. So that's kind of the basic kind of building block that we're going to be using. And the way subtractive synthesis works is basically starting with a rich harmonic structure like that, and then what we're going to do is kind of chip away at it using different things. But just before we do that, we're just going to add some noise into the sound. We're just going to use the white noise, and we're going to keep the color at full, and then just increase the amplitude a little bit, just to add a little bit of dirtiness to the sound really. The next thing we're going to do is go into filter 1. We're going to be using the Daft filter, which is a kind of low pass filter. We're going to put the cutoff to about halfway, and it really kind of boosts the resonance. This is really what's giving the sound a lot of its characteristics, is this resonance on the filter. But the trouble with that is because if you have the cutoff at a fixed position with a lot of resonance, there's only going to be like 1 or 2 notes that really kind of get a lot of resonance effect from it. And because this melody is being played over more than 1 octave, this can kind of be a problem in that some of the notes are a lot louder or a lot kind of a lot more noticeable than the other notes. So a way to avoid this is actually to do something which I've done before in other tutorials, and is use the key tracking macro. And essentially what this does, if you just like use it subtly, if we go into the key track filter setting here, you can see that it's kind of got this like really linear pattern across the whole keyboard. So what this is going to do, when we play higher notes, the cutoff is going to move up a little bit to kind of respond to that, which is really, really cool and really important for this sound. The next thing we're going to do, so if we just listen to the sound at the minute, it's getting there, but it is kind of missing something, and what it's missing is the distortion that you can actually hear on the lead, which is really, really obvious, obviously given a lot of its characteristics. And what we're going to use for the distortion is actually 2 identical inserts. We're going to be using the parabolic shaper, which is a type of distortion, and we're going to have insert 1 insert 1 and insert 2 after the filter. We're going to switch both these on and use both of them as the parabolic shaper. We're going to bring the dry wet on both of these down a little bit, but really kind of boost the drive and really drive this distortion. Now, it might seem a bit weird using 2 identical inserts instead of just using one with a lot of wet signal, but I don't know what it is. I did try that, but it's like, even sometimes I like struggle like to understand why something sounds the way it does, but for some reason it just kind of brings out a lot more of the upper harmonics in the sound when you use 2 instead of just 1, which is like really overdriven. I'm not sure why that is, sorry, but it's just kind of what I found. So now we have this. I'll just show you without. So it's given it a lot of its characteristics there. The other thing I'm going to do is just add a little bit of release to the sound, not too much, just so it doesn't stop quite so dead. And then all I did really was go into the EQ, roll off a little bit of the low end because it is a lead sound and this oscillator 3 is producing a little bit too much low end, but I quite like having the like harmonic underneath it still. And then we just added some basic reverb. I did notice also that the lead sound in the track, I think, had a phaser effect on it, but I really am not a big fan of massive phaser effect, so that's something you could maybe add externally. But we're just going to add just a really simple reverb just to kind of polish the sound off. And again, you could use an external effect for this if you have like a reverb of choice. And this should be the finished sound. I also there just added, or kind of reduced the attack, sorry, on the amplitude envelope, which by default is envelope 4, just so that the sound it has a like sharper attack and kind of cuts through more. So a really, really cool sound, really, really cool lead, and I'm a big fan of Daft Punk, so I had a lot of fun making this. Really, really cool sound, a lot of applications for it. You could use it across, a lot of different genres, especially kind of the like electro house kind of genres, or like future bass stuff like that, or even like funkier genres as well. It could be really, really cool. So hopefully you learned a lot out of this tutorial. Hopefully you picked up a tip or two, and you hopefully managed to get that sound. If you have any questions about it or any requests or anything like that, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. If you found the video useful, please like and subscribe to stay up to date with new tutorials that I bring out. And again, if you haven't already, go ahead and check out synthhacker.com, which is my website. Currently have a sale on the massive mega pack, which has over 500 presets included in that, all handcrafted by me. So definitely go ahead and check that out if you haven't done already. And yeah, hopefully you found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next video.